Hey there, this is Misty with a video for creating the crafty life in Emby's Treasurista. Today I'm going to share a tutorial with you on how I created this mixed media garden tag. Please join me and the Creating the Crafty Life members for a fun-filled country garden YouTube hop. You can start right here at my channel as I'm the first in the lineup. Up for grabs is the French Country and Autumn Leaves color shot sets by Lindy Stamp Gang. First, let me share my tutorial. So I'm going to start with the Secret Garden stack by Graphic 45, and I'm going to adhere the paper with Mod Podge. I'm using some medium weight chipboard as my base. Okay, so I'm just wiping down some of the excess that squeezed out of the sides. And here I'm using my corner puncher. And it has decorative edges. It's really cute for tags. And I'm gonna start getting ready to do some mixed media. I'm gonna add some texture to the tag. And I'm using a stencil by the Crafter's Workshop, and it is the chicken wire reversed. A really cool stencil. I love this, one of my favorites. And I'm just using some modeling paste from Golden. You want to try to make sure that it's really even so you don't have lots of, dips and stuff. It just looks so cool. You'll see it better once I apply some ink. So I was just go ahead and you can dry your modeling paste with a heat tool. I always do. And now I'm just adding some more stenciling up in the corner. And this is the Cherry Blossom stencil by the Crafter's Workshop. Okay, so now I'm going to start inking, and then you'll really see the change, and you can really see the design. And I'm using my inking tool with some walnut stain it's by Tim Holtz. It's actually Distress ink. It's one of my favorites. It's definitely like my staple go-to ink. And all I'm doing is just rubbing over the raised edges from the texture. And I did do over the entire tag with the reverse chicken wire, and you'll see later as I add a lot of embellishments, a lot of it you won't see, so it'll just be popping out in little places here and there. So now I'm just figuring out where I want my lace, and this is just lace that's from my stash. See, so I just have some pearl daisy trim that I'm just gonna trim out the lace. This is the large daisy trim. And I'll have a list of products that I used on my blog. And that's also the Embellishments Treasurista blog. And many of these products you can get straight from my shop, embellishmentstreasurista.com. So I'll have links and a list and everything. So I'm just figuring out where I want this doily. And so I have the little the window resin piece that I'm going to use. So I'm just kind of positioning some things. And the window is by Recollections. I don't believe they're available anymore. They're really, really nice. And our theme was country garden, and so I kind of think of like cottages and distressed and shabby kind of looking when I think of country garden. So this frame fit perfectly. And so I just heated up the trim just so I could get the doily underneath it, and that's why I love hot glue, because you can heat it up and glue it right back down. So I'm just heating up the glue that was on the doily as well, just to make sure it has it's holding really strong. Okay, so there was just a few areas that just needed a little bit of extra glue. Okay, now I pulled out a whole bunch of flowers, so I'm just going through and I'm gluing them down in different places. And all these mulberry flowers are by Wild Orchid Crafts, and I also carry Wild Orchid Crafts flowers too. And I love these flowers. I'm sorry for it for being a little bit out of frame, but you'll see the flowers later, because I will be going back in and heating some of them up and moving them around. I do that a lot once I've got it adhered down. That's why I love hot glue. Like I always say that. It's really nice to be able to just move things around a little bit. So I'm just creating my little garden at the bottom. And then this is one of the new items to my shop for May. This I just put down, and that is the Candy Gem Spray. And that is in the apple green. It's a little darker than the normal apple green, and it's a really pretty color. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of make my own spray. And you'll see that a little later as well. I'm going to add some flowers to it. Okay, now I'm just trying to figure out where I want some of these flowers. There's a lot of moving things around because I didn't really like the way it was looking, and I tend to do that a lot when I do my flower clusters. I get it one way and think that's how I want it, and then something doesn't look right, so I start moving them around. is where I started making the spray a little bit more with flowers, and it's really pretty. And these are the small 10, like the little mini roses. They're only 10 millimeters. Super cute. They're great filler flowers and perfect for on sprays. So I'm just adding more flowers, and these are the little daisies, and I didn't fully glue them all the way down because I wanted the window to slide slightly under it, but I'm not adhering the window down because once I spray the tag, I don't want to spray the window, so that's why the window is not being held, not being glued down yet. And I do tend to spend a lot of time on my flowers. I'm just kind of adding as I go. Okay, now I'm adding some paste calla lilies, and those you can also find in my shop. I love these. They take sprays really well too, so you don't have to prep them or paint them or anything. So I went ahead and I was pulling out some metal embellishments from my stash. And I have some butterflies, and this is a filigree butterfly, and so I just bent it up just to give it some dimension. And then this is one of the little mini doves that I carry, and I tend to use these on a lot of projects. So they're if you look at any of my other projects, you'll definitely see these a lot. And this is another little embellishment that I found in my stash. I'm not sure where I got it from, but I think it's for making like jewelry or charms, and I just thought it would be perfect to add it on here to hang the tag. And I only use hot glue, and since the tag is not that heavy, it should be just fine with hot glue. If it was a big bulky metal piece, I would have used something stronger like E6000. But as long as, I'm heating it up to make sure the glue is really hot, so when you press it down, it'll adhere really strong. And so when I was heating up the little hanger, the butterfly got hot too, so I was just fixing the butterfly. And definitely be careful. You want to use tweezers so you don't burn yourself. Okay, so now I'm just looking for some brads because there are two little holes on that little hanger at the top of the tag. And I believe these are Tim Holtz brads. Normally I don't use the brads that come with all the Tim Holtz embellishments, so I do have a little stash of just all the leftover brads. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clip off the actual end part because I'm just gluing it down so it's like a faux brad. I'm not actually putting any holes through my tag. And I just used some plain wire clippers and they work perfectly. Okay, so now I'm going to do some stamping. This is a sentiment or a word. It says serenity, and I thought that would be perfect for the tag for the garden. And it's the Faith Greetings stamp set by TPC Studio. And so I'm just taking one of my EK Success punches, and I'm actually doing something a little different. I'm going to go ahead and punch it out, and then I'm going to re-punch it and actually make it smaller because it's too wide. So I left just a little piece attached, that way I could position it in and out, because you can see that there's not much to hold on to. And now you see that it's actually a smaller tag. So now I'm just going to go ahead and ink it up. And I'm actually going to use my distress ink as well as some chalk ink. And the chalk ink is it's just a really nice light shade of pink, and it is by Versa Magic, and it's called Pixie Dust. So now I'm just figuring out where I want to put it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start prepping all my embellishments to take the Lindy stamping sprays. And I'm just using some white gesso. And for the metal pieces, you'll probably need a couple layers. You want it really good and covered, that way it does take the sprays really well. And you'll see what happens if it doesn't get a good coverage. The sprays won't take as well, so I end up going back and painting over it one more time. So I'm painting over the metal pieces, and then I'm also going to paint over the pearl trim as well as the little dove. Because of the rest of my elements are pretty much paper and lace that takes the sprays really well, it wasn't necessary to prep those. And I also chose this little butterfly as just a little decoration for the window, so I'm going to go ahead and paint that as well. And I'm painting both sides because it does have some little bit of dimension, and you can see the metal on the back side. So I'm just going to heat it up just a little bit to make sure it's dry before I start painting. before I start spraying. So I'm going to go ahead and start, and I'm using some pinks and some greens, and that was the Saltwater Taffy by Lindy Stamp Gang, and I'm using all Starburst sprays. And so just to take off like some of the excess, I'm just dabbing it so you don't have little puddles. And then you want to make sure that you heat dry it in between so your colors don't get all mucky and start blending together and just like a dirty color. So now I'm using my Cotton Candy Pink. And it wasn't exactly how I wanted it to come out because it was spraying kind of funny, but it'll still look really pretty in the end. So I'm kind of working my way from in to out, and I started with the lighter colors on the inside so it fades to a darker outside. And this one here was the Honeysuckle, and it's kind of a pink and like a peachy type of a color, so it was really pretty. I just added it in a few spots. Now I'm painting again, like I said, it wasn't taking the sprays very well, so I need to add another coat of paint. And I made sure this one was a bit thicker. I'm just spraying the pinks again, just to get those metal embellishments. And some would say stop here, and I almost did, but I was really trying to go for a full mixed media colors. I didn't want just, you know, a light mist, which was really pretty, but the end result was definitely what I was going for, and it was something I've never done before. So I'm definitely add a lot of color to this. So now I'm going to start with my greens. And I was originally going to use the a lighter green, but the bottle wasn't working properly, the sprayer, so I ended up using the My Mojito green, which is it's a lot darker, so there wasn't a lot of blending with the greens because I only have a couple greens, but it still comes out pretty nice, and you can kind of see the blending happening from the green into the pink. And for me, it's really starting to take on that garden type feel with the pinks and a lot of that green, which is definitely what I was going for. So I'm just spraying in a couple areas that needed a slightly darker green, mostly just the metal embellishments. And you may have to spray those just a bit more because the paper does soak up faster than the embellishments do. And same thing with like pearl trim, you want the same type of coverage with your gesso, just like on metal embellishments. So I had to go back just on the embellishments just a couple more times. For some reason I was just not getting the coverage that I wanted. But in the end, to no avail, I finally do get it. Okay, so I wanted there to be a picture in the back of the window. So from the same Secret Garden collection, there is a tag with this little girl on it. I'm just cutting it out, and you'll see how cute this looks. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my Mod Podge to adhere picture to the back of the window. So you can see how the window really pops. I wanted to keep that cottage and country type feel to the frame, so I didn't want to spray any color on it. And so now I'm just going to adhere down the sentiment. And these are just little pop dots from Recollections. And I have a couple different that are from Recollections, and these ones have a bit more dimension. So now I'm just using hot glue to adhere the resin window down. I'm just trying to make sure it's straight. So I'm just adhering that little tiny butterfly to the frame or to the window. And so now I'm just gonna do a little bit of like a whitewashing or just adding some contrast on the flowers. And I like to really do this on a lot of my projects when I do mixed media. I just really like the way that it looks and adds a little age. So I'm just going over just the tips and just slightly on the petals a little bit, all over the tag. You do want to make sure that you take, and that's why when I rub it on the, you can see how there was a little too much gesso on my brush, and you just want to rub it off on your paper towel, because you're not painting, you just want a very dry brush, just so you get just a touch of that gesso. Now I did a little bit of spraying, but I didn't realize my camera wasn't recording, but I did spray a little bit more of the pink and the green because I ended up wanting the sentiment to match. So right now I'm just adhering some more design paper from the Secret Garden to the backside of my tag to finish it off. I didn't do this before just in case anything got on the backside, any of the sprays or the glues or anything, and I didn't want to mess up my designer paper. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And again, I'm using Mod Podge to adhere down the paper. And as long as you use not a super thick, you won't have anything bubble. Mod Podge does dry fairly quickly. And so I just cut out some tags from the paper line, and so I'm just going to add them to the back. And I'm going to turn the two smaller tags into a pocket, because the larger tag has some journaling on the back side. But first I'm going to stamp my information on the back of the tag before I start gluing everything down. Okay, so now I'm using hot glue, and as you can tell that I use hot glue for everything. So I'm just heating it up because you want it nice and hot, that way you can make it as flat as possible, just like if you were using like a dry adhesive. Okay guys, that's everything. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video tutorial. Please keep hopping along. Next up is Deb at Crafty Texas Woman. The link is in the description box below. Please enjoy these photos. For more details, you can visit my blog, embellishments.com. And thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.